Let me start off by saying that I absolutely love Yamaha. Of every Yamaha product I have ever owned, I have never been disappointed with any of them. Except this one. This is a distortion pedal of theirs from the 1980s called the MBD-20M multiband distortion. Whatever a multiband distortion is. It is really... I'll tell you what. Let's just hear it first. Okay, that was fun, wasn't it? Let us take a deep dive down into this thing, shall we? Basically, I mean, it's kind of a standard, not standard, but something of a Boss stomp box design. 4-knob distortion pedal. There's your output, your level control. That's your distortion. That's your tone. And this little control right here is one labeled balance. That kind of seems to function as a almost like a presence / resonance control. The farther to the left you turn it, the more it boosts the bass. The farther to the right, it'll boost the treble. And there in the middle, it seems to boost the mids. So maybe really it's more of a notch filter or something like that, or a frequency boost of some kind. I don't know. Balance is kind of a strange name for it, but there's your standard 1/4-inch inputs and outputs. Standard 9-volt input, and then of course the caution, precaution, all that kind of stuff. Jargon on the back, and you can see right there in the bottom left hand corner it says Made in Japan. At least I hope you were able to see that before my camera just died on me. But it was actually made in Japan. Believe it or not, if you were not aware of this, Yamaha actually produced a line of distortion pedals back in the 80s that included this one. This is, I bought this one back in the 80s. This one is actually the very first pedal I ever owned. I had at that time a tiny little practice, solid 10-watt solid state. I think it was a Crate G10 or something like that. It was a little solid state combo that came with a guitar pack back then, and I absolutely hated it. I hated everything about it. Nothing, didn't like a single sound that came out of it. So, for my, Christmas or my birthday or something, one year, my parents decided to get me a distortion pedal and see if I might like that sound of it a little bit better. And I did like it better, but not much better. And this thing has not gotten a lot of use since then. I pull it off the shelf and plug it in once every now and again just to kind of get a laugh out of it, but because it's just a weird sounding distortion, man. I don't know how to. I mean, it's almost it's like a distortion that kind of wants to be a fuzz, but doesn't really, isn't really a fuzz, but so maybe it's kind of in the rat territory that's kind of walking the line between the two, but it doesn't really do that very well either. It just kind of sounds like digital mud garbage kind of. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's. I love old gear, especially gear from the '80s, but like I said, and I hang on to this mostly for nostalgic reasons, and for some reason, actually the values on these things are climbing. Last time I checked, these things were selling for anywhere between $60 and $100 on the used market. So, somebody out there likes them. I'm not going to get rid of it, like I said, mostly just because, for nostalgic reasons, and because I've had it for so long. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have it, sitting on the shelf to look over at every now and again, and people ask me what it is when they see it in the background. But it's an interesting conversation piece, to say the least. I will say that I have often been curious to try some of the other pedals that were in this line, because I think there was also a reverb and a delay and a phaser, a flanger, something like that. I mean, it was a whole line of pedals. Yamaha do acoustic guitars really, really well. They do electric guitars really, really well. They've put out a few amplifiers recently. They've actually done some really cool solid state amps. The THR amplifiers actually are excellent. They do synthesizers and keyboards and drum kits and brass and orchestra and or band and orchestra and brass instruments and basses, tons of great basses. I mean, they make a lot of really, really, really cool music gear. And really, really well. And usually, they're price-wise, whatever price that they're comparing to, usually, the quality of Yamaha gear that you're looking at smokes everything else that it's competing against, but for some reason it's also very often overlooked. I give Yamaha props for just about everything they've ever done, but I often wonder if there's not somebody sitting in that, sitting up there on the top floor of that Yamaha building in Japan, wishing that he didn't have this one back. This is a really rare, weird oddity, but I hang on to it because it's Yamaha and because I think Yamaha's cool. And, as I said, I've had it forever, and it's just part of the history of my guitar journey, starting out from when I was about 10 years old. So at any rate, if you were hoping for a forgotten gem of the past, can't really call this one a gem, but it certainly is a forgotten piece of gear from the past that I thought I'd share with you, and I thought that you guys would get a kick out of this as much as I have. So as always, links to all the gear used down in the description. I'll see what links I can find for this guy to include down there as well, if you do want to check it out. Also, links to various different ways that you can support this channel will be down in the description as well. Your support really does go a long, long way with helping me keep this thing going. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts on this guy are, or if you've ever tried any of the other pedals out of this old line. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Adios.